Rita and Hannah were best friends in high school. Like most teenagers, they were curious, adventurous, and eager to experience life. At the same time, they were thoughtful girls who cared deeply about their families and generally remained true to the values they had been raised with. They always tried not to give in to peer pressure when they knew something didn't feel right. One day, they were invited to a party. They had heard there would be drinking, vaping, and recreational drugs, and although neither of them planned to participate in those activities, they were kind of curious to see what it was like. When they told their parents about the party, they deliberately left out some details and simply described it as a birthday party with friends. A couple of hours after arriving at the party on a Friday evening, both the girls began to feel uncomfortable. Even though they knew that it would not be an innocent party, yet the atmosphere was very different from what they had imagined. There was heavy drinking, vaping, and drug use happening around them. Their excitement quickly turned into anxiety. "We should leave," Rita whispered. Hannah agreed, but the girls were not too keen to make the call home. They knew they had not told their parents the whole truth, and they worried about the questions, the disappointments, and the consequences that might follow. After a few moments of hesitation, Rita took out her phone and called her mom. "Mom, I don't feel comfortable here. Can you please come get me?" There was no pause on the other end. "I'll be right there," her mother replied. She grabbed her keys, drove to the party, picked up both the girls, dropped Hannah home, and then drove Rita back. The entire ride home, Rita prepared herself for what she thought was coming, a series of questions with demanding answers and explanations. "Why did you go there? Why didn't you tell me the truth? What were you thinking? Didn't you know what kind of kids invited you?" She rehearsed the answers in her head, trying to justify her decision, but she knew she was in the wrong. Surprisingly, however, none of those questions came. When they reached home, her mother simply looked at her and said, "You must be tired. Go get some sleep." That was all. The next morning, her mom behaved exactly as she always did. No interrogation, no lecture, no cold silence. A few days later, unable to carry the weight of it any longer, Rita brought up the topic herself. She began explaining why she had gone and also apologized for not being completely honest. Before she could finish, her mother pulled her into a hug. "I'm just glad you trusted me enough to call me," she said. "You are safe, and that's what matters." Years later, as a mother of two teenagers herself, a son and a daughter, Rita finds herself returning to that memory often. She now understands something very clearly as a mom herself. Her mother's greatest concern that night was never the party, it was her daughter's safety. She was grateful that when Rita felt uncomfortable, she knew exactly who to call. She was grateful that fear of punishment had not become greater than trust. As parents, we spend years teaching our children the right from the wrong. We guide them, protect them, and hope they make good decisions. But teenagers are still teenagers. They are curious, they take risks, they make mistakes. Sometimes they find themselves in situations they never intended to be in. When that happens, what matters most is not that they were not perfect. What matters is that they trust their parents enough to call them, to reach out when they feel unsafe. In a moment of fear, confusion, or regret, their first instinct is to come home. The lesson is not that rules don't matter. The lesson is that trust matters too. And maybe trust matters more. Because long after our children forget our lectures, they will remember whether we were the safe place they could turn to when they needed us most.